may be seated. Can we quickly turn to the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 2? Chapter 29. Let's check verse 1 through verse 5.
Furthermore, David the king said unto all the congregation, Solomon my son, whom alone God had chosen, is yet young and tender, and the work is great. For the palace is not for man, but for the Lord God. Now I have prepared with all my might for the house of my God, the gold for things to be made of gold, and silver for things of silver, and the brass for things of brass, the iron for things of iron, and wood for things of wood, onyx stones, and stones to be set, glistering stones, and of diverse colors, and of all manner of precious stones, and marble stones in abundance. Moreover, because I have set my affection to the house of my God, I have of mine own proper good, of gold and silver, which I have given to the house of my God, over and above all that I have prepared for the house, for the holy house. Even 3,000 talents of gold, of the gold of Ophir, and of 7,000 talents of refined silver, to overlay the walls of the house withal, the gold for things of gold, and the silver for things of silver, for all manner of work to be made by the hands of the artificers, and who then is willing to come create his service this day unto the Lord.
Read that line again.
The gold
the last
for,
line. Huh?
The gold for things of gold, and silver for things of silver, and for all manner of work to be made by the hands of artificers, and who then is willing to come create his service this day unto the Lord.
I'm going to request that there be no more movement. I want us to reverence and respect the peculiar, concentrated presence of God. This is my most difficult message ever preached. Do I have anybody here whose father loved him so much that your father used to discuss his financial problems when you were young, when you were about 15 years? Anybody here? No, don't raise your hand, bring it down. Did your father discuss his financial problems when you were 15 years old? Don't confuse us. A father will not say that. I used to ask my father, how come you only discuss financial problems with my mother? My father shocked me when he said, you're still a boy. Daddy, I'm no longer a boy. I am almost 15 years. And the old man laughed and said, even at 15, you're a baby. Our message tonight speaks about the pain God is going through in building his churches across the world. Hear me very well. God cannot, and your father cannot discuss his financial problems with you at the tender age of 12. No. 15. No. Right where you are this night, we have a great burden, and it is the burden that God carries. I had already asked my officers to contact another preacher that will preach on today's sermon. Because I cannot share this type of burden with all of you. No. No. Do I have anybody here? God once said to you, close your account and use that money for the building of my church. Anybody here? Has God ever spoken to you and said, look, close down your account that my church may be built? I'm looking for men who are on, come. Hey, stop going up and down. Sit down. Thank you for being a good worker, but not now. As we grow, you find that your parents may not discuss the innermost problems with you. Why? Because they consider you're too young to understand. Why? Because to them it's a big burden for you to bear. And if they refuse to resort to begging you to hear the pain in their hearts, it shows they can't trust you. My mother joined my father. He never discussed any of her financial problems with me. I used to say to her, Ma, you know, if you were a little bit older, I would have said, you're a pretty girl. And she asked me to shut up my mouth. She would say, you are too young to ever say that to your mother. So I didn't say it again to her. How many of you would like your father to pour out his heart and tell you about his financial position? For example, Nigeria has not gone through what she's going through now in the present Nigeria. I don't know if you know. There is so much scarcity of money that businessmen don't even know what to do anymore. How many of you like God to share with you his pain? About 30 years ago, God said to me, Omar, I wish you can empty your account and build a church for me in your village. Empty my account? And God said yes. Father, I have too many things to do with that money. He said, no, that's not the question. Are you willing to empty your account and build a church for me single-handedly in your village? I cried. Why did I cry? Because I thought I needed that money. I thought I needed that money more than God would need that money. And I said again, Daddy, I can't close down an account to build a church for my village. I was shocked. The next day, somebody came to me and asked me, have you ever made a promise to build a church for this great God? And I said yes. And he asked me, what happened to you started the building? Too many things to do with that money. And the man said to me, God sent me to give you every kobo you need in building that church. Don't ask anybody for money. I have come all the way from Delta to your village in Abia. God asked me to ask you not to beg anybody for money and not to discuss that money with anybody. That he, somebody I had never met before, will single-handedly provide the money. Don't clap. Hey, don't clap. Don't clap. Why are you clapping? For being unwilling to give to God? Is that why you're clapping? You're embarrassing me. I'm crying here. And you're clapping there. Who is fooling who? You know why you're clapping? Because you've also said to God, I have too many things to do with my money. This young man came all the way from Delta to my village in Abia to look for me. He said he dreamt a dream where I was asked to build a church I had promised to build, and I refused to bring the money. And God sent him to tell me there are people who are willing to serve this God with every money they have. And that he was one of them. Even as I speak, I'm crying. Because if I knew what I now know, I would have said to that young man, don't worry, I'll bring the money. Right where we are now in this fellowship, we are preparing for our miracle convention. It takes a lot of money to run that program. We have run that program over and again. We are building what you can call a building that will take care of our guests and take care of our students and take care of the last structure we have to build here. But it takes men who can say to God, who will not be ashamed to say, we are selfish, but we'll give you the money. I grew later jealous of that young man after he gave me the money to build the church in my village. Do you know a president of a country in Europe sat next to him on his flight to a place, and the president, they began to exchange words, and that president said to him, I was asked by God to prosper you. When he told me the story, I was ashamed of myself. I don't know whether you know, Wednesday before this last one, I gave the fellowship 10 million that we may continue with the building we are engaged in. But as I was coming to this service, God said to me, whatever is left of your money, can you bring it? And I'm ready again to give, not 10 million, but to give 1 million, that the building progress may not be stopped. David gave beyond imagination. And many of us don't know that David gave because he loved God. I am married to a beautiful girl, which is bad news. Pretty girls don't beg any man. Pretty girls don't beg any man for money. We'll be married close to 50 years. She said it is 48. Don't worry about the age. Do you know this girl had never asked me for money? She had never said to me, can you please give me a loan of 1 naira? That's what pretty girls do. They don't beg anybody for money. They don't care how rich you are. Why? They believe that men are already waiting outside to bless them with money. And so when you go about bragging, you are a rich man. A pretty girl will just look at you and ignore you. Right where you are this night, we're looking for, normally we run our miracle convention with 64 million naira. And I have insisted on generating that money. Right where you are, we're building a place for our students where they can stay in dignity and honor and serve this great God. Right where you are, we are part of the competition in Uyo. We want to tell the watching world that we also are men. We are not boys. The day I asked my father, why can't you discuss your financial needs with me? She said, Omar, you're a baby. What? My mother chipped in and said to him, don't mind him. He talks like an old man. But he's a baby. And that word baby made me look smaller than I was. We are preparing for a miracle convention that will not lower our class down. We want to show the watching world in New York that we are men who can give. That we are men who are ready to give. Will God give back to us? Of course, this God will shock you by what he will do. I have seen this God give, and I cried that I did not give generously to him. I don't know whether you know that this God has people in Cameroon, in Ghana, in Europe, that he can send them to bring you money to where you are. Just before we left for UK for my medical checkup, a couple came all the way from Cameroon. They said, God sent us to you. We don't know you, you don't know us. God said there is no cash in Uyo and you're going through difficulties. He asked God to bring you 5 million. 5 million? They said yes. The wife brought out the money and gave it to me. The next day, another couple all the way from Ghana came. They said God sent them to bring me money. The wife of this man said he saw me preach from a sitting position and told her husband that this man must be sick. I've watched him preach for so many years. I've never seen him preach from a sitting position. And that she began to cry. And God asked her, can you close your account and give him 10 million? That she said yes. And that I brought the money. There are things God may never discuss with you. But the more God trusts you, the more God believes in you, the more he can discuss the pain of your heart with you. Men don't discuss their financial problem with their children. Why? They regard them as babies. My father, for a long time, never saw me as one big man. He always would say, Omar, you're a baby. And I kept protesting that day, I'm not that small. Old man, he would look at me and just laugh and walk away without saying anything else. This night, I'm looking for those who can help us run our miracle convention. I'm looking for those who can help us continue with our building and finish this building before Christmas. I'm looking for men who will show the world outside here that there are men in this hall who can give from their purse. Men, not boys. I have never gone through these thought processes that I'm going through. As I remember what my father used to say to me, Oma, you are still a young boy. You know, I used to cry for my father to look down on me and say, you're a small boy. And I'll go back to my mother and ask her, Ma, am I really that small? This beautiful, pretty woman will say to me, yes, you're a boy. You are still a boy. I'm not looking for men who are still boys in this gathering tonight. I'm looking for men who will say to God, whatever it takes to show you I am no longer a boy, I'll give that your work may be done. Men and brethren, nobody here can outgive God. Nobody. Nobody can outgive God. Nobody. One this, my friend, I was meeting him for the first time, said to me, Oma, you may not know me. I know you. I have come all the way from Delta State. I have come all the way from Delta State to say to you, that building God asked you to build, He doesn't need your kobo anymore. I'll supply all the money you will need. One of our elders who built that building, when I told him my story, was shocked. I don't want lack of money to stop us from carrying out the type of programs we have always used to end the year. We are going to run that program as though Tinubu never came. Sorry, did I say the wrong thing?
No, sir. No, sir.
I met people today who are struggling with money. I met people who cannot even pay their bills. I met people this morning who the government of the day has staggered them. They don't know what to do. But that's men of the world. I am saying the man we are partnering with, the man we call our Father and our God, nobody here can outgive him. Nobody. When a group of 4 bachelors came, how many weeks ago? About 4 weeks ago, all the way from Europe to say, God sent us to help you pay your way to Europe. We have come with money. I will not mention that money. Because I was ashamed when they came